Hello, welcome to Madz Creates. I'm Madeline, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how I made this cute little crossbody phone holder. Now I'm recording on my phone right now, so I can't show you how it fits in here, but it fits perfectly. And it also has quite a bit of room left in there. You can fit lip gloss, a small wallet, or you can just stick your cards in there. Let's get into it. Now I'm going to be showing you how I made it with a different yarn. For this is Lily Sugar and Cream yarn. I will be using Mainstays, Walmart's brand of yarn. It is also a size 4, a weight 4 medium or worsted weight yarn. I'm using cotton because it's more structured, it's a little sturdier. Now this Walmart cotton is actually quite soft. Doesn't feel as structured as Lily Sugar and Cream. It doesn't feel as stiff as Lily Sugar and Cream. But I will be using this light gray and light blue. I have about 70 grams of gray and about, I think, 62 grams of blue. Alright, let's get into it. Before we get into it, I was making a hat with this, but then I realized that I didn't have enough yarn, and it's really short. Like, you barely would have been able to get a brim with it. So I'm going to be frogging this and just working off of it like this and frog as I use it. Now, let's get into it. Alright, to start, I'm going to make a slip knot. Wait, this is a 3.5 millimeter hook. I need 4.5. Got my little baggie. Now, where is that 4.5? Start with a slip knot, and then you're going to chain 15 or 16. It depends on if you want a turning chain. I typically don't use a turning chain. And this pattern is based off of the, I'm using the knowledge that I gained from making my tote bag, and since this is going to be checkered, you can also make this in a solid color and add stripes if you feel like it. But I'm going to be showing you how to make it checkered, and then from there you can use your own knowledge of crochet to either make it a solid color or give it stripes. So that is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. And then I'm going to crochet into the back bump, all single crochets, because it just looks cleaner and it's a lot easier to work into and to see your stitches. Alright, I have made it to the end of my chain, and I like to crochet over my tail so I don't have to weave it in later. So pull up a loop right here so you don't lose your stitch, then go into these both legs right here and pull your tail through, just like that. Then you pick up your loop again, turn your work, and I will not be chaining one, so just work straight into that first single crochet and continue crocheting over your tail. It's okay if it's longer than your project, you can cut it off later. Alright, I have finished my second row, and in this bag I did stripes. You can do a striped bottom if you want to, but I'm going to be doing a solid bottom for this. But I will also show you how to change color and stripe it. So when you're changing color, you don't finish your stitch that you're going into, the stitch before you're changing colors. You will pull your yarn to the front like this, just fold it over, it makes it a little easier, and then you would finish that row with that color, and then you can turn your yarn, and then I would crochet over both of these tails. Well, not that one, but I would crochet over the tail. So loop that under there, go into your first stitch, and just single crochet like normal. I will show you what the first couple stitches looks like. And that is how you stripe for the bottom. Alright, for your bottom, you want to make 6 total rows just because it looks neater, because like you will be... Sorry, my cat is walking through here. You can do 5 rows, but it looks more aesthetic when you do 6 rows because of the way that the single crochet rows line up. It just looks better when you have an even number of rows. Alright, I am back and I am finished with my 6 rows. And for the next row, this is where we start the checker part. We are going to make 5 single crochet with your first color. And before you finish that fifth stitch, you're going to color change. As I showed you earlier, color change, you grab onto your yarn, if I can, pull it through, and that finishes the stitch, and then you can start your next 5. The trick here is to use very similar colors because this is kind of like a tapestry crochet where you're going to be floating some yarn, but I'm going to be carrying over or crocheting over my carried or floated yarn. And now after you have made the first 4, almost done with the 5th color change, this does not have to be loose, it can be pretty tight. And then you're going to leave both of those colors out and finish with your last 5. And we're going to color change, and we're not going to be working any more rows this way. We're going to start crocheting along this edge right here. Now just find any spaces along here and make 5 single crochet. And then you will color change. And now we have made it to the starting chain. And since we crocheted into that back bump, we can clearly see our stitches here. Now my first stitch is a little bit tight, so I'm going to have to maneuver that in there. Then we are just going to continue to work and float our yarn like we have been till we get to the end. We have made it to the end of this row right here. I'm going to snip off that right there, and then we color change to work onto this edge like we just did on the other side. 5 single crochet in these spaces. And now we are not going to work in the round. We are actually going to turn our work and work in rows, because working in rounds skews the design. Working in rows will help ensure that it stays pretty straight. And now here's a color change for the front of the design. Pull your yarn forward, color change, put your yarn to the back, and then crocheting over your yarn, loop through it so there's 3 loops right there, and just crochet over that yarn. Again, pull your yarn to the front, color change, put your yarn to the back, and finish crocheting like normal. Alright, now I have made it back to the front where I originally added on my color. I'm going to pull this up and crochet over it as well as the gray back there. And if this stitch is too loose, just pull on that to tighten it. Just continue to crochet over that tail so you don't have a bunch to weave in the end. I have made it back to the end, and we are just going to keep working until we have 5 rows of color. So 5 stitches by 5 rows should make a pretty squared square. And this tail is still long enough to crochet over, so I'm once again going to crochet over the tail. Oh no, I did that wrong. Okay, color change first and then, yeah, okay, color change and then crochet over both tails. Alright, I have made it to the end of my 5th row. I'm going to color change and make a gray row on top of this, and I'm also going to crochet over both of these tails, or crochet over the float and then this tail, and then just work my color changes like normal, making sure you crochet over your floated yarn. If not, it's just going to look and feel all like with a bunch of these everywhere. It just looks better when you crochet over it. So this is kind of like intarsia crochet, but like also tapestry at the same time. I don't really know what to call it, but intarsia is where both sides of your project look like really good, except you can still see there are these lines on the inside, and then it looks better on the front. And then you're going to continue working these color changes just like this, 5 rows at 5 stitches each for a total of 25 rows, and then I will be back to show you what to do next. Alright, upon measuring this bag up to the last one I made, it is a couple rows shorter. It's about 2 rows shorter and a little skinnier, so mainstays size 4 is really a thin 4. I thought it looked pretty thin. Anyway, just add another set of checkered pattern to this if it's not long enough for your phone. Alright, I have finished my extra row or set of checker pattern, and I want to have a gray border around the outside, just like the gray on the bottom, but I ended on blue, so I'm going to color change, and then I'm going to just crochet 1 row all the way around in gray and hiding all of my tails. I'm also going to crochet over this end for about halfway up the project. Sorry, my cat's in my lap. Alright, once I'm happy with that, I'm going to snip off my blue tail and just continue my single crochet. Alright, I have finished my single crochet border along the top. I'm going to cut a strand of yarn, or a piece of yarn, a little bit longer than twice the length of this seam right here, and we are just going to weave that. Jeez, that is not a fucking window. Now I'm just going to take my yarn needle and I'm going to sew her shut. Also, I did not tie a knot at this end, and then make sure you turn it inside out when you sew it together so that the seam is on the inside. How I'm going to do this is just go through the loops of both and make sure you pull it tight, and then start weaving back and forth. This is called a, well, technically it's called a running stitch, but this is not how you do a running stitch. Typically you go in, out, in, out, in, out. And make sure that your colors are lined up when you sew them together. Just keep sewing like this until you reach the bottom, and you can hide your end or you can sew it back up. I prefer to go down and then back up. Alright, I have made it back to the top of my seam, and I'm going to just hide my tail now. First, I'm going to just weave it under these single crochet at the top. And then I'm gonna go back in and just weave on down in the gray. Just placing it under each single crochet stitch. And if you don't think that's secure enough, you can squish it on over to the other side over here and weave in some more. I'll weave it under these blue right here because it's where it meets the gray. And once again, I'll weave it in under my single crochets. And when you do enough weaving like this, it will not come apart. And then just snip off your yarn, and flipper ends are right side out. And there you have majority of the bag. Now you gotta pick what color you want for your straps. You can do stripes or you can do a solid strap. I think I want to go with a solid blue strap. Okay, I lied. I will be doing a solid gray strap because I have more gray than blue. Even though I could use the blue, but I kind of want to have even amounts. So, to start your strap, you're going to find your crochet hook. First of all, we're going to find our seam over here. We are going to make sure that these are the first 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I use this to weigh my yarn. We're just going to fasten on our yarn. And what I like to do is I like to go in from the back of my loop right there and pull my tail through. Oh my gosh, he's biting it. Stop it. If I can, pull my tail through. Little man. You're done. You're done. Time out. Go. And then I chain about 150 to 160. That first loop there does not count as a chain, so just chain a bunch. Or honestly, you don't even have to count how much you chain. You can just go by the measurement or how it feels, how it looks. Alright, now we've got our chain finished. Make sure it's not twisted. You can use a stitch marker to mark off where you want to put your chain at, but I don't need to do that. So this side, there's a gray square. On the other side, there's a gray square. We want to count and make sure that our stitches line up correctly. So we're going to go into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, we're going to go to this one right here. And we are going to slip stitch that on there. And then, that slip stitch doesn't count, go into the back bumps. Let me zoom in a little. You want to go into the back bumps like we did at the beginning of the video, all along this chain with single crochet, and this counts as your first row, and we're going to make a total of 5. Okay, I've made it all the way down my chain with single crochet, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the first part where we, not cast on, that's knitting, but joined our yarn, and I'm going to slip stitch into that space, and then I'm also going to slip stitch into the next space, and then I'm going to turn my work, bring my tail with me so I can crochet over that. Make sure you're skipping those 2 slip stitches and single crochet all the way back across your chain or your single crochet row. I have finished my second row. I'm going to slip stitch into this next one. I'm also going to do another slip stitch, and then single crochet back across like normal. I'm at the end of my third row, and I'm going to slip stitch into that base, and then 1 more slip stitch, and continue working like normal. And now I have made it to the end of my 4th row. I'm going to make 2 more slip stitches into the base right there and single crochet my final row. And now I'm at the end of my 5th row. I'm only going to do 1 slip stitch into the base, and then I'm going to cut off a tail, pull that through, tighten that up, and then go ahead and weave your tail into the project. I'm just going to move this to the next gray square because that one has quite a bit of yarn weaved into it already. Just snip off the excess, and there you go. You have just completed your very own crossbody phone holder. And that is going to conclude this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I taught you something. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, comment if you feel like it, and subscribe for new videos every Monday.